Today, Toy Story 3 passed Finding Nemo as the highest grossing Pixar film thus far. To congratulate them, I decided I would do a quick retrospective on every Pixar film and tell you what I think of every single one of them, all 11 of them. So without further ado, let's start out with the film that started it all. Toy Story. Wait, what? What is this thing? Just kidding. I know exactly what this thing is. This movie came out a few days before I was born, actually. I have a very, very, very deep connection with this film because this is one of the first movies I ever saw, and I truly love it. Everything about it's fantastic. Just like in the third film, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen are excellent voice actors. The animation is great. It's funny, it's witty, has a great story, and it was the beginning of one of the best trilogies of all freaking time. I don't care what anybody says, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, whatever. I think they all a lot of them pale in comparison to the Toy Story movies. And yes, I said the animation is great, even though it's 10 years old and it was the first computer animated movie. It still looks really good, even though it was the first time. And of course, if it didn't look good, why did it start a whole trend of movies that eventually took over animation in general? 4 stars out of 4 for Toy Story. Next up, we have A Bug's Life. This movie to me is the very definition of a sophomore slump. It's not very good in general, it just has a very predictable storyline, mediocre voice acting, not very good action. It's just a mediocre film all around. It's not terrible, there's just nothing particularly good about it. This is just my opinion, and I know I'm going to get jumped all over for this and another film I'm going to talk about later. But to me, this is just a very lackluster, predictable story that it just comes off kind of mediocre by Pixar standards. Not to mention all the characters are extremely cookie cutter. You have the inventor, the young friend, the evil villain who hates everybody. You know, it's just very pretty cliche. 2 stars out of 4 for A Bug's Life. I'm going to kind of skip a Toy Story 2 segment just because I've said everything I need to say on that movie. And because I've talked about the other ones. But just know that's my same basic thoughts, and I'd give it 4 stars out of 4. Even though I do think it's a lesser film than the other two. Next up is Monsters, Inc. I think the concept of this film far outweighs the execution, but that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. The concept's just really creative. These monsters that go and scare these little kids as an energy source. And I like all the clever zeitgeist and creative things they do. I also like all the characters, especially Billy Crystal as Mike Wazowski. I just think that the plot line itself that they chose weighs the movie down with the little girl going, la 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 la, boo. I don't know, the little kid character who exists to do nothing more but annoy the other characters, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me, especially in Pixar films. But that doesn't mean this is not an entertaining movie. It's a little disappointing because the concept is just so great. But I'm excited because apparently there's going to be a Monsters, Inc. 2, so hopefully they'll expand on it in the same way they made Toy Story 2 so great in Toy Story 3. So I'm going to give Monsters, Inc. 3 stars out of 4. It's a solid film, it's just not one of their best ones. Finding Nemo. Unfortunately, I can't really rate this one because, to be honest with you, I haven't seen this film full on all the way through in probably 2 or 3 years. Unfortunately, I don't own the DVD anymore, and I looked for it on YouTube, and they didn't have it. They had like a version without part 2, and then the audio was messed up on part 3. It was pretty sad. But from what I remember, it was a very good film. Well made, good story, good voice acting, everything Pixar's known for. But as I remember it, I don't see it as their best film like many people do. It's certainly a really entertaining, fun little chase movie, but I don't find it to be one of their best. But then again, I haven't seen it in forever. I'm going to go ahead and give a neutral rating on this one until I see it again. Next up, The Incredibles. I have a passionate love affair with this movie. I adore this film. This is probably my favorite Pixar movie out of all of them. Maybe it's just because I'm partial to superhero movies. I am a superhero nut. And this movie does a great job with the concept of what happens when superheroes retire. and they're missing their normal life and what they did before. Just a great film. Fantastic action sequences, good acting, great story. Everything about it just melds together to give one extremely entertaining piece that is ultimately better than the other ones because I just feel it has a lot more heart and wit and ideas than any of the other ones. 4 out of 4 for The Incredibles. Vroom vroom, it's Cars. Now, a lot of people hate this movie. If any people hate Pixar movies, it's normally leveled against this one film, and I don't think it's that bad. Sure, people may gave the same complaint I just gave about A Bug's Life, saying it's predictable and that it has crappy acting, whatever, and I agree that it's predictable. I just think there's a lot more heart to this film than in A Bug's Life, and it's a funnier movie, too. From what I remember, I also haven't seen this one in a little while, but I remember it being pretty funny. It's not a fantastic film, and it's definitely not The Incredibles or Toy Story, but it's a decent movie. I'm going to go ahead and give it 2.5 stars out of 4. This is a fun film, it's just not a great one. Again, hopefully Cars 2 next year will be better. Rat-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-too-wee. This is another really good one. It's directed by Brad Bird, who did The Incredibles, and it's just another really winning, fun, heartfelt movie. I think that this one has a lot more heart than some of the other ones, like just the elements of family and like fitting in and following your dreams are just really, really touching in this one. Not to mention it has a really good ending, and just everything about it meshes together really well. There's not really much to say about it because you kind of can say the same thing about a lot of these Pixar movies. But this is another solid example of why Pixar is so great, because they can make the oddest movie in the world and make it great. But just when I say that statement, we run into damn WALL-E. This movie is the one time Pixar completely failed. I know, I must have just sent 70 riots in the streets. The world is ending. Oh my god, someone hates WALL-E. Yeah, I do not get why people like this movie. It's about an annoying robot who runs around with another annoying robot going, waddle, waddle. That's a terrible movie in and of itself. And I know people say, oh, but the silent comedy was just so brilliant and the interactions was just so brilliant. Yeah, WALL-E going, wow, and Eve going, rah. Brilliant filmmaking. And the comedy wasn't even funny. I mean, he hits himself with a ping pong paddle and discovers little things about himself. Hilarious. Beyond that, I just really feel like this movie hates the human race. When it gets into space and you see these fat humans that rely on absolutely nothing but this technology and these wheelchairs and this food and whatever, it's just a terrible statement. I get what they're trying to say. They're saying like, oh, if we keep living the way we're living, we're going to become these people. But it just comes off so condescending and just so terrible. Not to mention, it blatantly rips off 2001: A Space Odyssey with the HAL 9000. They're not even trying. This movie pisses me off. It hates the human race. It's an annoying movie. I just despise it. I give WALL-E, and I did not need to see that, out of 4. Last but not least, I gotta get through this quickly because of the 10-minute limit. Up. Now, I like Up, but like WALL-E, I don't think it's as brilliant as everyone says it is. Don't worry, I don't hate it. I actually really enjoy this film. But a lot of things bring it down. The stuff with the old guy, the story is really heartfelt. The stuff without dialogue at the beginning is great. And the general character arc of that character is just fantastic. But this little kid, right here, I hate him. He profoundly brings the movie down for me. He is so irritating and so idiotic. It's just insane, and he annoys the crap out of me every time I try to love this movie. But without the little kid, if you bring him out of your thoughts, the adventure elements are very fun, and this is overall a very fun and heartfelt movie. I'm going to give this 3 stars out of 4. Thank you for watching this video.